And so live shopping is this magical cocktail that brings together the best of e-com with the best of brick and mortar. And that's why it is just blowing up and has been blowing up for years in Asia and overseas. The US is just finally catching up and finally going,
Welcome to today's episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast, where we dive into the dynamic world of e-commerce and uncover the tools and tactics that empower today's emerging entrepreneurs. Our podcast is part of our community with the same name. The community is geared to providing emerging e-commerce entrepreneurs with courses, content, and coaching to help you all launch and grow successful businesses. Check us out at ecomrevolution.co. Let's get things started. Welcome to another episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast. My name is Ramin, and it's great to have you here today. Today, we're excited to dive into the world of live shopping. Our guest is a multi-award-winning inventor, entrepreneur, and creator whose passion for simplifying life and empowering e-commerce brands has made her a standout expert in the live shopping world. She's also the founder and CEO of the Live Shopping Academy, an innovative platform designed to educate, empower, and equip e-commerce entrepreneurs to successfully leverage live shopping as a core marketing strategy. So, without any further ado, please welcome Marcy McKenna to the E-commerce Revolution podcast. Marcy, it is wonderful to have you here today.
It is wonderful to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I love this topic. I think as we were talking about at the top of the show offline that, I remember it from 2020 as if it saved e-commerce businesses back then and retail businesses as well. And it's now just progressed, and you are here teaching it, educating people all day long. I just think it's wonderful, and I'm so happy that you're doing this.
I am so happy to be doing it too. And actually, for me, the Live Shopping Academy element came because of during COVID, where I have a product line on HSN, and I'm in California, they're in Florida. I used to fly back and forth and do my shows, but fancy studios and producers and directors and makeup and hair and all that. And then during COVID, that was all shut down, but they wanted us to continue going live from our living rooms. And I was thinking, okay, are you bringing producers to me and lighting and microphones and all of that? Nope. You got to do it yourself.
Wow.
And so that's kind of what got me. It took a lot, there was a lot of obstacles along the way, figuring it out, lots of trial and error. But once I did, I thought, this is something that anybody can do in their living room, anywhere. Yes. And so I just thought, I want to package this up and hand it over to people to be able to do it for their own businesses. Because it's like having your own little mini QVC or HSN.
Yes. The originals, the OGs, as they say in the world of live shopping. And as a kid growing up, I remember watching QVC and actually marveling at how polished they were, and not really thinking that it was a set. I remember reading an article by Barry Diller was quoted because I think he bought a big, huge portion of, was it HSN network? Or
I think it was HSN.
Yeah. And he talked about being in the room. I think that he was watching a live and the phones lighting up and all, like all the calls coming in for the orders. And, I'm sure if you're sitting on that side, it gets you quite addicted to this. But it's now in the hands of everybody. Everybody can do this, as you said. This is amazing. Well, let's dive in if you're good with it. I'd love to just, start off with some questions and really kind of learn more about, your business and kind of how you do it, but also just the world of live shopping and how it's going to benefit and it has been benefiting people out there. So let's just kick it off by demystifying live shopping, because I think there's some, the word live maybe makes people a little nervous, so anybody who is watching this today, just walk us through the concept of live shopping, kind of what it is. What are the inner workings that get you to that place where you're in front of a camera selling goods or services?
So you broke it down perfectly. Like, that's really what it is. And a lot of people do ask me that, just point blank, what is live shopping? And I always do point to the OGs, the HSNs and QVCs of the world. And I have actually been with both of them, kind of back and forth between the two, but they're now owned by the same company. And in fact, HSN is moving to the QVC campus in a couple months. So that's going to be interesting to have us all under one roof. But yeah, so I've been doing that for 15 years almost now. So that is kind of what I always point to is, that is what live shopping is. It is people going on television live, and it used to be 24/7, and basically selling their products to the consumer who are watching live. And there's that interaction there. It used to be much more so than it is today on QVC and HSN, where there was always live callers calling in and asking questions or giving their feedback, which to me was way more fun than it is now. They do very little of that. I think that's going to change very quickly because that's what's happening in the modern age of live shopping right
Right.
now. And I love it. It is so much fun. So it's not only so much fun, but it is so incredibly valuable. It is a tool that every e-commerce brand should be taking advantage of in a huge way, should be diving into, because there are so many, I think so many people think of it just from a conversion standpoint of, oh, I'm going to get more sales. And the sales part's great. You'll see the statistics. It's, conversions are going up by 10 times when you
Right.
add live shopping into the mix. So that's huge. But for me, it's all these little kind of hidden things that happen when you do live shopping. It is that engagement with the customer and that kind of know, like, and trust factor, and building these long-term customer loyalty relationships that are going to serve you very well over the years. And we'll get in deeper
Yeah.
to all those hidden benefits, but
And what about
it's
entertainment?
powerful.
Because I've watched you on several lives, and you do some work with the grommet. We've had the Greg on the podcast before, and you add an element of I mean, there's entertaining happening there also. You
For
have to
sure.
keep that in mind, right? I mean, you are trying to engage. So I think you made a good point about people focus a lot of just on the conversion, but there's all these other elements that happen that lead to the conversion, and I think entertainment also, wouldn't you agree, is definitely a part of it.
I do. And Greg and I talk about that a lot. When we first conceptualized our show, which is Grommet Live, it was really important to us that we wanted it to feel like infotainment, that it's sort of, people, our hope is that people come away having had a great time, because that's what keeps them coming back. And that's ultimately what we want. So you do want to have that, kind of fun entertainment element, but also that they've learned something, the info part of it, that in addition to just hard selling, which we don't like to do at all, actually, but it's more of, let me educate you on this product and different ways to use it and how it came about. And so it really becomes so interesting when you can layer in those different elements. And I think by keeping it away from that hard sell, you are building that know, like, and trust. And so it's incredible how that's why conversion happens. It's because they are feeling this connection with you.
Hmm.
And so it's very unique. It's something that you could never do on a static Amazon product listing page.
Right, right. And you mentioned Amazon, and live is a big part of what they do, and I assume they will continue to invest more money and inspire more entrepreneurs who have their goods on there, because otherwise, use the word static. And I remember the CEO of Shopify, Toby Lutke, once saying, he goes, all e-commerce is just like a static, image and a, static content sitting on a page, like a catalog in the virtual world. But all of a sudden, live shopping changes all of that, right? It brings it to life, brings the product to life, which is so important.
That's such a good point, because when you think of the two worlds, really what it is we've got e-commerce and then we've got brick and mortar retail, and both of them have great benefits to them, but they also both have issues. And so e-com is so great because you've got this wide reach that you can get to as many people as you want anytime, 24/7. But they're not e-com as it was. They didn't have that personal connection. So their conversions were so low. I mean, the conversions are 2%,
Yeah.
whereas you look at brick and mortar and their conversions are much higher because there is that interaction. Someone walks into a store, there's somebody to help them. They can ask questions, they can try things on. And so live shopping is this magical cocktail that brings together the best of e-com with the best of brick and mortar. And that's why it is just blowing up, and has been blowing up for years in Asia and overseas. The
Right.
US is just finally catching up and finally going, aha, So
Yes,
I don't
it's
know what took us
interesting.
so long.
Yeah, everything comes from somewhere else usually,
Yeah.
and we get inspired by it. I remember watching a live during the pandemic, and it was on Facebook. They were doing live, and they had a rack of clothes. It was in the fashion world. They had a rack of clothes, and they had numbers put on every single item, and they'd stand up and talk about it. And then if you were interested in it, and this is, let's say back even before, this is 5 years ago, right? It's
Okay.
not that long ago, but technology hadn't caught up yet. And you were showing the number. And then if you were interested, you put the number into the chat. Yes, like I want it. And then they would push out a link to pay for it. That has all changed, and I assume at the Live Shopping Academy, you're teaching a different model, technology. Like, what does it look like right now? I'm still doing that or not doing that anymore? Much more
Well, you
sophisticated.
certainly could. You could. Well, that's kind of what's interesting is there's so many different ways to do it, and there's so many different platforms to choose from. And you're right, the technology has just, I mean, skyrocketed in such a great way to make it so simple, so easy, so seamless for anybody to get started with it. And so there are platforms that have the technology already built in, which would be sort of like Amazon Live. So if you are, and something that I'm always surprised to learn that most Amazon sellers don't even realize that they're allowed anytime they want to go live on Amazon Live.
Yeah, they don't really
And
push it. It's funny. I don't. A
they
lot of people don't. You're
don't.
right. They don't know about this.
They don't know about it. I just think I pull my hair out trying to spread the word because it's so incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
And even if it's not valuable, I mean, it's valuable across the board, but let's say you get zero sales, or let's say only 5 people show up, because I know that's a fear for a lot of people is, well, who's going to come? How do I get people there? What if nobody shows up? That doesn't matter. If nobody shows up and you get no sales, that's okay. Because when it comes to live shopping, the real value is in what happens after the show and what you do
Interesting.
with that content.
Yes.
So it's such a beautiful thing because you have built this sort of social media content machine. So every show you do, you can theoretically edit it into several different clips and push it out on social media, directing back to the product that you're selling or the product line or the multiple products.
Yeah.
So it is, don't be intimidated by you don't have enough followers, nobody's going to show up, because that's how you build the followers is
Right.
you do a live show, you take that content and you put it out there.
So
And so
so
it's
well said. I mean, that
exciting.
repurposing, that repurposing of content, and that bank of content. I guess once you get past, if you do have some, reservations and you're a little fearful of, getting in front of the camera, you're just creating, a bank of content that you can use anywhere. Now, what happens, by the way? So in this case, if I'm talking about, a product that is, a timely product, maybe a spring collection or something like that. How does that affect that repurposing of content? If I'm promoting, still promoting that live shopping event that I did no longer live in summer or in fall. I mean, how do you see people using that and kind of getting around that?
It's a great question. And so I am sort of mindful when I do go live to try to keep things somewhat evergreen so that when I'm talking about products, I'm thinking along those lines of how can I make sure that this is going to be relevant year round instead of locking in on the seasonality of something. So as much as I can to that degree, but some things are just inherently a summer
Sure.
product but what I do with content like that is I keep sort of a bank of content. And so I'll put those old video clips into, let's just say it's a great product for June, July, and August. I'll put it there so that every year when I come back, when summer comes or a couple months before summer, I can start repurposing that again. And maybe I have to update links and pricing and things like that. But that content lives on.
Okay,
And so
that's
once
great.
you've created it, it's there.
It's there forever. Tell me about the equipment. What would I need if I was, I'm ready to go on Amazon Live or wherever, and we'll talk about the other platforms in just a moment. But
Yeah.
what do I need?
Great question. And I will say that when live shopping started to take off in America, which really was probably, I mean, this is the big year, 2025, in my opinion, is the one where it's really blowing up. But a couple years ago, I mean, Amazon Live actually started, many people don't realize, back in 2019.
Wow.
And it was just so under the radar. But what happened, this is a good example, I'll use them as an example, is so many people said, oh, you just go live on your phone. That's all you need. You can go live anytime. And is that true? Yes, you could. And that's what people did. And it was such a disaster because if you went to Amazon Live, which is probably why they kept it under the radar, because so many people were just going live. And you do need a few core things for it to be a somewhat quality live shopping experience for the viewer. Because if it's not, if the sound is awful, if the lighting is bad, if, the camera angle, you're looking down or looking up or something, the viewer is going to swipe and
Sure.
go on to the next show. So we need to make it somewhat enticing for them to be there and pleasant at the very least.
Sure.
So what's the basics of what you need? You definitely could use your phone because the cameras are so amazing now. So that's great. But you do need to have good lighting, and it doesn't have to be expensive. In fact, I have a live shopping gear guide for every budget. So I do kind of good, better, best.
Yeah.
So,
we'll
this
link
is
to
your
that.
budget.
That's a great thing
Yeah,
to link
we'll
to.
link to that actually, sure. Because I really do want people to know, in my opinion, it is the most affordable way for you to build your brand to the masses and for you to spread the word about your product, because you don't need fancy equipment. You do need equipment, but it does not have to cost you thousands of dollars. You don't need a fancy studio. You can do it in a corner in your bedroom. You can, it's amazing how you can make that corner in the bedroom look like it's a fancy studio.
Right, exactly.
If you know where to put the lights and you have a good microphone. Sound is really important.
Yeah.
So to have that microphone, and then if you want to use your cell phone, have at it. But then there's also so many great cameras out there that are really quite affordable too.
Yeah.
So it's,
for a few $100, you could be ready
Absolutely.
to go. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's I love that, and I think you may pointed out the swiping, right? People get these days. I think we're starting to expect better lighting. We're expecting better camera, better audio. So when we don't see that, we tend to think, low budget. But for just a few $100, you've got a high budget operation going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few $100 and a few tweaks to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Where to position the camera, where to, just little things can make all the difference. And it's interesting that we're talking about that, because I do try to explore firsthand every platform that's out there. And so recently, I don't know if you're familiar with Poshmark, but Poshmark is doing so many lives. So I spent a lot of time on Poshmark yesterday, checking it out, really, seeing how it works and getting myself so that I can start going live on Poshmark. And that's what I'm finding there. It reminds me of Amazon Live in 2019, where the hosts are off camera, going to the bathroom or something, and they come back in and you're seeing their forehead and it's dark. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it would be if I just want to tell them through the camera, just lift up the camera, turn the light on, it doesn't take a lot.
I feel you need to message that link to the guide to them immediately. Get that in front of them, because yes, our patience is run. We have higher expectations than we did in 2019. We'd be a little more forgiving, I guess, in 2019.
I think so. I think that's a great point. Yeah.
Well,
but you know what? At the same time, there's something fun to the authenticity of just your everyday person going live in their bedroom, and it's not so professional, but it needs to be watchable.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be perfect by any stretch, but it needs to be watchable and hearable.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the core.
So what are maybe some of the common mistakes that you see people make? You mentioned audio. Maybe some of those are some of the common mistakes, but maybe the presentation part. What do you see in the presentation that you would advise differently?
Yeah, part of me would love to say unscripted, and I do believe in unscripted. I don't like scripting at all, but just go with the flow, just go live. And because that would be so easy if I could just say that. But the truth is, for you to feel comfortable, for you to not be nervous, and for the customer to feel like they're on a journey with you, there does need to be some level of structure, that your show is going to be an hour or whatever period of time you choose. And that there's certain things that you want to accomplish, that you want the viewer to get from this hour with you. And so kind of thinking through what we call the run of show It's just sort of an agenda, if you will, like a timeline that you're following, going, oh, okay, we're 5 minutes in, so I need to get to the first product. Very simple, not complicated at all, but just a guide that you're following. And I do believe, when you first get started, you might not add in video clips and images and different things like that. That would be more advanced. You don't have to do any of that. But as you get used to it and you want to kind of take things to the next level, starting with that run of show, you might say, when I'm talking about this product, I want to be able to cut away to this video that shows it well. So that run of show is really important to creating a live shopping event that keeps people engaged, because they're feeling like they're taken care of. Like you're hosting this party and they get to be there with you, and there's a flow to the party.
Sure,
and it really is like that. Think of it like that when you go live, is you have all these guests that you're hosting.
I love it. That's great. Yes, it's a mindset shift right there. That puts you in a different frame of mind to maybe actually enjoy it, not to stress out and sweat so much, that you have to deliver. Now, so there's many platforms. We're going to talk. That's my next question is about these platforms. But if I'm doing a lot of them, and maybe I'm going live on many platforms all at the same time, am I using an external, like a StreamYard or a Restream or something like that, doing like an OBS connection? These are technical words, but that external connection to them?
I love that you're asking about this, because I think that therein lies, again, one of the really valuable parts about live shopping. And when I say it's the most affordable way to get your product, your brand out there, that's one of the reasons, is that you can go live from your bedroom. You can simulcast across all these different platforms by using a third-party platform. I use Restream right now is the one that I'm using. And so that does let me, originally when I first started on Amazon Live, I would just do Amazon Live. And then I learned about Restream. And then suddenly when I'm live on Amazon, I'm also live on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on X, on YouTube. So all these people that didn't know me before suddenly are seeing me live. So I'm growing my audience, the viewers. And what happens with live shopping, there is so much interaction in the chat, because I can ask them questions. What do you got? Which color do you guys like if you were going to buy it? Which, simple questions, or give me a thumbs up if you think this is kind of a cool product, or whatever you're asking. That's triggering the algorithm across all these different platforms when that chat gets going. So what happens when you trigger the algorithm? You're pushing your live out to all these people that would have never seen you before, and it's organic. You're not paying for it.
Yeah.
And so amazing. It's this amazing tool that I just cannot. It is really incredible.
If you think about it, let's take it back to the broadcast days. It's like the equivalent of sitting in your room and getting onto CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN,
imagine that.
Including QVC, HSN, all of them at the same exact time with one piece of technology, one set basically, and that is mind-boggling. And we were talking earlier that never in the history, at least that I know of, do people have so many opportunities to succeed, right, at whatever they want to do, and technology has absolutely brought that into the forefront.
It is there for the taking. It really, And so it's that's my whole goal with the Live Shopping Academy, is just to make all of this so accessible, because I know it's a scary time for product-based businesses, both in brick and mortar and e-commerce. It's exciting and scary at the same time, because there's so many millions upon millions of products, so much noise in the space. How do you stand out? How do you survive?
Right.
And, the ad fees are going through the roof, and, it's expensive to promote your product. And so this just brings a whole different way to do it very affordably.
Yeah. Well, let's go back and talk about QVC and HSN. Those were they revolutionized live shopping, and they have, they're not as relevant as they used to. Although at the time of this recording, they're cutting deals with these platforms to bring their model to the world of live shopping. It's almost like they're doing it all over again, if you will. But who are the leaders? So, we've got TikTok in the space. We've obviously Instagram, Whatnot, which maybe some people don't know about Whatnot. It's it's getting some traction, but not as. And then Amazon Live Shopping. Are there any other players, and what are they doing? I guess, who do you see like really doing the best job out there, providing a great platform?
It is a wonderful question because I'm actually in the midst, and I have been ever since I knew that I wanted to do the Live Shopping Academy, is I'm really making it a priority to be very hands-on with each one of the platforms. That, in fact, that's why I started doing Amazon Live, was not because I wanted to sell more of my products in a live way. It was more so because I wanted to check it out so that I could recommend it. I work with a lot of inventors. I run the Women Inventors Club, and I love to be able to say, hey guys, here's a new way you can do something. So that's originally why I started doing Amazon Live. So I am trying out not only the marketplace type opportunities like Amazon Live, there's also Market.live. There is, eBay Live. They're in beta now, but they're getting ready to kind of blow up. There is Poshmark. There is, I'm just blanking. I'm shocked to know that Etsy is not jumping into the game.
Yeah, that's
yet.
an unusual one. I don't get that.
It is unusual, but I had sort of a light bulb moment yesterday about because I feel like Etsy sellers could do so well with live shopping.
Yeah.
And so it dawned on me, they don't need Etsy to do live shopping because of these platforms like Restream,
right,
or Ecamm. There's different platforms that allow you to do it outside of it,
mm-hmm.
but have the product links. So you're going live, but you're linking to your Etsy store. So you can still do live shopping, even though they're not diving into it yet. I'm sure they will be.
Yeah.
But I just did a live shopping show the other night with a platform called Terrific, which I was quite impressed with. So I'm going to be speaking more about that. And there's a live shopping platform in Denmark that I've done webinars for that I love it. And I keep begging them to come to the US. They're not here yet, but when they do, I'm going to scream about it from the rooftops because I really do love their platform. And there's Firework. I've done some webinar series for Firework, and they're big time. And so those are the platforms that you can work with them just to go live on your own website,
right,
and then simulcast to the others if you want to.
Okay.
But there is a lot of people believe in getting them to your site because obviously that allows you to own the information and learn more about your customers.
Yeah. Do you feel like having a commerce infrastructure is important? I mean, you mentioned Etsy, they're not doing it, but you've got, Instagram doesn't have an e-commerce infrastructure, but TikTok does. So, TikTok shops, Amazon has their, is that important? Does that integration make it a bit easier, or doesn't really matter?
It depends on what your goals are and what kind of company you are. So if you are a very small, you're a startup, you're a solopreneur kind of a person, I think it's quite important to be able to be on, I'll point to Market.live for a second because I've hosted quite a bit on there. And one of the things I really appreciate about Market Live is that influencers can go on to Market Live, discover your product, and when they go live on Market Live, they can talk about your product. So it can get discovered by an influencer who's then promoting your product on Market Live. So if you're just starting out and not sure how to get visibility for your product, being on something like Amazon Live or Market Live or they're all going to escape me right now, but yes, those marketplace type platforms I think can be really valuable. I also think if you are a smaller e-com business, that doing the simulcasting, taking advantage of the different social media opportunities is important too.
Okay. Tell me, as you're getting out there, in the world, and you're building this presence. What if this fear? We talked about the fear of maybe going live, and you also mentioned influencers. Is there a scenario where you can hire somebody to do your live for you? I mean, this is somebody that can step in, and maybe there is a whole bank of people who are well versed. I mean, I feel like founders are probably the best. You would agree, but if you can't do it,
I always try to. To me, that's the first choice because it's so authentic. This is your story. This is your baby that you're talking about. But to your point, many people are not comfortable on camera. That's a big element of Live Shopping Academy to me is getting people comfortable on camera and showing them that doesn't have to be that scary, and you can do this, because I do think if it can be authentically you, that's ideal. But many people do hire hosts to do it, and then they can bring you in on occasion and ask questions and sort of do an interview, a special guest, kind of the founders here, the creator. So there's different ways to structure that for sure. It's been interesting. The big struggle, I will say, for live shopping platforms, for even Poshmark, eBay, all of those, is, do influencers translate to live shopping? They're great at fancy pictures, really pretty pictures and things like that, and captions, but can they carry a show for an hour and engage with the customer and ultimately create add to cart moments where people are buying based on how they're describing a product? And that's been the disconnect, is so many people thought, well, the more followers they have, that's who you want. You want these Kim Kardashians of the world to be hosting your events. Yes, they have a lot of followers and they might come watch the event, but they're not buying. And that's what they're seeing. So what's interesting and what's great news for all of you e-commerce folks out there is that it's really the micro influencers and the nano influencers that do better at live shopping, because they try harder. They are more authentic and engaging. They, want to work hard for your brand. So it doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot to hire a host.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. We just recorded an episode with a co-founder of Stack Influence, and they only work with nano and micro, and that word authentic was used so many times because not to say that the big names are not real people. They're obviously real people, but they have different agendas, right? There's a different agenda there. And I think that, kind of meshing those worlds and finding people. Yeah, so I guess if you can't go live, if you just cannot muster up the courage, even after going through your academy and we're still feeling a little nervous, finding somebody else who can do it for you. But really, at the end of the day, the power of the founder is going to, your message will resonate louder than anything else.
I think so.
So tell me, we talked about Gary Vee, out there, and he's been, pushing live shopping big time, going on CNBC, talking about it. He used a quote, this is the ultimate connection. This is the ultimate connection between buyer and shopper. But between founder and shopper. Do you feel that, you mentioned that kind of it's just taking off right now, like 2025 is the year of live shopping. Where do you see it going? What's your prediction on live shopping?
Gosh, I mean, because I've been following it for so long, when it first started in Asia, they did their first live shopping event. It was on Singles Days, their big one. Yeah. It was 24 hours, and nobody knew how it was going to go. And, the jury's out, and they went live. And in the first 24 hours, they had sold $17 billion worth of product. And so they have just never stopped. I mean, it's just from that, just skyrocketed with no end in sight. And so, as I mentioned sort of at the beginning of the show, the US really is far behind all of the other. I mean, in the UK, it's huge, all over the world.
Wow.
And we're just catching up. So I think it is so exciting right now for companies in the US, because I do think it's only the beginning. And if you can get in and start doing live shopping now and start getting comfortable and creating a well-oiled machine, you're going to set yourself apart in this e-commerce space, and you're going to be getting attention that you can be left behind and not do it at all while all these other companies are jumping in, or you can kind of be a pioneer in the space and get really comfortable and have people used to watching you live on a consistent basis, which is another tip I want to say, is it's so important to be consistent with live shopping, because people love it. And they want to come back again and again, and they'll look for you. If you went live on Tuesday at 6 p.m., they want to come back next Tuesday at 6 p.m. And if you don't have that consistency, it's hard to build that real quality audience.
Yeah, well, I noticed you're very consistent, with yours, and I think I'd asked you a question via email that you went live on a Friday, and it's something you guys were experimenting with.
Yeah.
As a e-commerce entrepreneur, maybe my e-commerce business is a side hustle, and I'm still trying to build it up to be something big. I might have to do mine in the evening or after work. Is there a time of day that is? Or is it really just like go live and just don't worry about it, start building that consistency?
I've been trying to track it and make sense of it for years, really, probably since 2019, and even trying to see what Amazon Live is doing. Like, when do they put their primetime people on? Is it on what day of the week? And I really find it's kind of all over the board, which is good news for all of us, is that you can pick a time that works for you. And as long as you're consistent, that's the key with that time and that day, they will come. If you build it, they will come. And so, but I do find, and I was glad that you asked that question, because I remembered going live way in the beginning, one of my first shows, I wanted to experiment with Friday night. Just curious, is anybody watching? And so I did, and I was blown away on Amazon how that turned out to be, without question, my highest viewed show. And so then we just tried it with Grommet Live the other night. And again, it was one of our highest viewed shows. So I'm thinking about kind of making that a regular. I think people are in a good mood, and the show's more fun. It's just a little more festive. So I like that. But I do weekends in the morning. I'll do, I like to try them all and kind of see everybody's audience is a little different. But there's no perfect time. There's
Right.
no,
Okay.
and again, whatever time you go live, it's the content after, and
Right.
where you place that and when you
Repurposing.
place that is more
Yeah.
valuable.
Is there an amount of time that's good? I mean, is it 45 minutes, 30, an hour? Have you experimented with that part as well?
I have. What I will say is, for instance, on Amazon Live, they prefer that you're live for at least an hour.
Okay.
Because what they find, and there's lots of traffic on Amazon, so people are jumping in, jumping out, jumping in, jumping out. So they want you to be on long enough for people to find you. If you're on 15 minutes, you've missed a huge audience. So they want you to have that exposure for an extended period of time. I really feel that 30 minutes is a minimum, because you do need time to introduce and get to know, and you've got that. And so again, going back to the structure of the show, I think you can create a structure of a show with the 30 minutes, and then an hour to me is sort of optimal, because it really does give you enough time to, depending on, if you're only selling one product, then 30 minutes is probably perfect. But if, a lot of my shows, I'll represent lots of different brands and different products in the show. Sometimes on Amazon Live, I'll go 2 hours if I've got 15
Wow.
products I want to do.
Wow.
And I just kind of gauge. I mean, that's the other great thing about live shopping, is there's no rules. There's no instruction manual. You just
Do it.
go with the audience. And so
Yeah.
if we're having fun and that chat is lighting up, and there's questions and interactions, I just keep going,
Yeah.
because it's fun and they're having fun. And why, unless I have to be somewhere, why not?
Right. And I guess
So,
I just touch on the fact that, when you first do this, yes, you should probably be promoting this, we are going live to gain that audience, but I feel like, we should maybe manage expectations. Your first one, it's probably going to be, it's going to be, you're going to work out the kinks, and it may not be massive in terms of audience. If it is, amazing. You did your marketing really well, but if it isn't, don't give up on the idea, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
My first one, I always joke, but it's true. I had 3 people, and
Okay.
I'm certain it was my mom, my dad, and my brother. But I was glad, because I wanted to figure it out. And I
Yeah.
made so many mistakes, and there was so much wrong with it. I saved that one just so I could point back to it. But it's fine. It's totally fine. And the more you do it and the more consistent you are, it's incredible how quickly it builds.
Right.
The numbers,
Yeah.
because it really is fun for people. People enjoy live shopping so much.
Yeah.
And so
It's like they walked in the store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, very good. Well, just tell me, just in terms of, back to the platforms. I know also, by the way, TikTok pushes the hour thing too. They're kind of like
Yeah,
very
they do.
big on the hour. I also sometimes some of these I watch, and if they're pushing one product, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of talking about one product. You should probably have
Yes.
more, right? You should have several products in the mix.
But there are, inventors and e-com brands that just have the one.
Yeah.
But what I recommend in the case of that is, and what's kind of cool about another cool element of live shopping is the collaborating. So let's say you sell luggage. You have one piece of luggage that you sell. So maybe there's a company that sells packing cubes, or there's a company that sells cosmetic cases for traveling. So getting different brands on board that you can highlight their products or even bring them in to do a show with you. What's great about that is that you can grow your audience by capitalizing on their audience, because they're a travel company, you're a travel company. They're going to bring their peeps, you're going to bring your peeps. And another element that plays into that I do on every single one of my shows, and I could not recommend it highly enough, is giveaways. And so giveaways are fantastic because it is the fastest way for you to grow your email subscriber list, and not just a subscriber list, but a very targeted one, because they opt into the giveaways that they want to win because it's a product that they're interested in. And so you can promote that giveaway ahead so that you're growing your email list for your product. Hopefully, and you can decide whether they have to be present to win or not, but hopefully that drives viewership to your event. And I do 2 giveaways on every show. So I do one halfway through and then one at the end. And so that keeps people engaged. And I have them put a few words into the chat when they enter in order to get a second entry. So that's driving the algorithm. So it's getting pushed out to more viewers. And now I have their email address so I can, and they stay on to the end because they want to find out if they won. So that means your watch time is high, which means you're growing your organic SEO because of that show, especially if you have it on your website and people are staying on your site for that long. That's huge for SEO.
That's gold mine right there. That's gold in terms of that first party data, getting that email, capturing that email, because live, maybe some people coming from your world, your community, people who are already part of the mix, you already have email, but you're going to have a lot of people coming who have never had an interaction with your brand, and having that front and back end, or back of the show email capture is such a great idea. So valuable. I love that.
And also because a lot of people don't buy during the show because they're just meeting you and there's chat going on. There's all this stuff going on. So after the show, you can send them a quick email and say, thank you so much for joining. In case you missed it, we're still offering 20% off until tomorrow at midnight. So here's the coupon code.
Right.
So you're not losing them because they didn't buy right there. 80% of sales from live shopping happen after the event.
Wow.
And so don't get upset if you don't sell a lot during the event. That's really short-sighted because it really is after. So you do want to, the abandoned cart thing is I think really important for live shopping, but just having those emails from the giveaways. And then the next time you go live, you get to say, hey, I know you joined us last time. We'd love for you to come back again. So they're in your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And chances are they had a great time and they will come back.
Yeah.
And
well,
so it's great.
I feel like all we have to do is just look at the history of this. The QVC and HSN built empires off of this concept of live shopping. This is your opportunity to build an empire off of live shopping. And I think that, to think that it's not going to, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And the fact that it's been, we're slow. The United States has been slow to the game. Yeah. All of a sudden, you just go look across the pond, look in Asia, and see what's happening there. And live is they've been doing this for a long time. I'm just curious about Whatnot. I don't know why it intrigues me. What are they doing?
Gary Vee's talking about it.
Yeah, I guess he's all over the place promoting them. Are they doing anything different? I mean, I've watched a few. It seems very Well, I would say it feels very much like what I've seen in Asia. Very loud. There's a lot of loud, things going on, and
Chaotic
yeah,
and yeah.
chaotic. Is that
Uh-huh.
part of the is it, like Temu, the spinning wheels and the fireworks going off? Is that it must be by design because it satisfies their audience.
I think it is. And so
Yeah,
there is, again, it's you figuring out what's right for your audience and what kind of brand you are, if that's right for you.
right.
What I'm finding mostly it, with Whatnot is that it is just, it could be my son in his bedroom selling his equipment that he doesn't use anymore. So it's just anybody going on and selling stuff they have. It can be new, but it also can be used. And it's this auction type of a frenzy. So you can just swipe to quickly buy, and they do giveaways a lot. And so you can enter the giveaway, which I think is great. But it is, there are Amazon Live is very different than Whatnot. So it's just a different medium for a different kind of shopper or
Right.
viewer. And so it just kind of depends on what you like. It's very community based. So it's kind of is a hybrid of sorts where there is the community element where you can interact, but then there's also the live selling element
Interesting.
that you
Interesting.
can,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Poshmark is a little bit like that as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a little chaotic and yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
there's some,
let's as we get close to wrapping up here, I have to ask about AI and artificial intelligence, and is it, you know, is it working its way in here? Is it working? Because I feel like
I
it's
mean, I
harder
don't
when
know
it's
where it's
live.
not working its
Yeah,
way.
yes. I feel like how could you create an avatar of your live self? That seems a little more complicated. But what do you see
Yeah.
happening?
You know, I'm a little old fashioned, so I choose to believe, I hope that, I mean, there are some benefits to it for sure. It makes it really easy to come up with a title for your event. It makes it easy to, so promoting your event ahead of time using AI can be really valuable and helpful and time saving and all of that. And even repurposing the content after can be made so easy by AI. But to me, the show itself, why live shopping is doing so well, is because I do think we crave that interaction in this world of technology where everything is, buttons and lights and AI and all of that. We want to meet, we want a real person.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I mean, that is why HSN and QVC did so well, is the people that follow it, they are addicted. They watch every day, they watch all day because they become friends with these hosts. And they
Interesting.
just, it's just this connection that I think as human beings, we all crave, we all need. And I think we all deserve to have that still in this world of technology.
Right.
I think it's a must. And I mean, is
Yeah.
it live shopping if it's a
Right,
robot?
right,
I don't know.
exactly. Well, that's an interesting point. I bet you the platforms actually love it too because these platforms are all being just inundated with AI content, right? Written content, video, pre-recorded, avatar-based. Going on to HeyGen and making an avatar of yours, but you can't do that like that. I mean, maybe somebody's going to come up with a way, but at the moment, live is you. It's you. It's being authentic. It's being a real human being. And those platforms probably like that too because they don't have to, they don't have to scrape all this and try to get rid of all this, AI content. So it's a two-way, it's a win-win for both sides, I guess, is the best way to think about it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope we can hold on to that. I
Yeah.
even just think of, customer service on websites and how they make you think you're talking to a person, but you're not. I can't stand it. You know it right away.
Yeah.
And and so I just think, gosh, if that happens in live shopping, I think it would be, to me, would be the end of live shopping. And
Yeah.
just why would you do
Yes.
it?
So this is good. I mean, this is fantastic. I think this is an opportunity for brand owners, for founders to connect with their audience. It's back to what Gary Vee, the ultimate connection, I guess, is what we're creating. And you're teaching, you're giving people the roadmap, the game plan of how to do this, and just do the one. Get it out of your system,
Yeah.
and you'll see. I mean, every time I do something that's live, I feel you feel energized when you come out of it because boy, your heart's probably beating a little bit faster, and you got a little excited, and then you get used to it the next few times that you do it. So I love this.
You'll
You're
look
creating a
for it.
box, a kit here.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But it's I want to hit on real quickly
Hmm.
the connection part that you just said,
Yeah.
because as a product innovator myself, I use live shopping all the time because I do have such a great connection with my viewers. I use it for product development and market research. So if I'm coming out with a new, I mean, I've got my beauty case back there is my sort of hero product. And the women that have purchased it, they're, kind of beauty case groupies. And so I'll invite them all to a live shopping event and say, I'm coming out with a new line. I want to get your guys' opinion. I'm deciding between this color, and this color. What do you guys think? And or do you like it with gold hardware, or do you think we should move to silver hardware? Whatever it is. They love being a part of my product development process. I love it because I get to find out firsthand what's going to do well from them. And then I can take that information to my buyers at HSN and say, I just did a live and this is here's the data. Here's the analytics of what everybody wants. And we'll make hard decisions based on these live events. So it really is so helpful. And then when we finally launch that new beauty case line, all the people that were on the event can't wait to buy it because they were a part of the process. So if you can start thinking of it beyond just selling product and using it to get to know your customer and to understand what their likes and dislikes are, imagine what that can do for your business. That when you launch a product, you not only have a built-in audience, but you have a built-in audience for the specific product that you're rolling out because they were a part of that development.
Wow.
That's exciting.
So it is when you're writing a business plan, the live shopping gets inserted into the sales portion of your business plan, gets inserted into your marketing section of your business plan, and also into the market research part of your business plan. I mean, that is you can't ask for more. This is amazing, right?
I preaching it. I mean, I
Yeah.
scream it from the rooftops because I'm such a believer. And I mean, I could talk about this for 2 days. I could lay out, there are so many benefits. I mean, one of the things that people that have dived in are saying the most that you would have never thought of is that return rates are going down significantly, 50% and more.
Wow.
Because if you're live talking about the product, you can say exactly how to use it, exactly how not to use it. So when they get it, there's no user error that's going to cause them to say this thing doesn't work and send it back.
Wow.
Because they know exactly what they're getting. They know exactly what size it is. There's no guesswork. So, I mean, how returns can kill a business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm sure Amazon loves this because they have probably some of the highest returns because they make it so easy. And now all of a sudden, if I watch something, I might actually understand the product better and say, oh, actually that's not what I was looking for. And you pass on it and you just saved them. You save the situation, you save the seller from having to take something back, or you look at it and say, oh my God, this is exactly what I was looking for. And you understand it really well. Wow.
And then the second layer to that is you can imagine what that does for positive reviews because they get to know you.
Right.
So they're more apt to write a positive review, but they also know exactly how to use it. And so they're going to have a better experience. So positive reviews are going through the roof. Returns are going way down. I mean, just that alone is so valuable.
I love it. Well, I was thinking about, QVC and HSN actually before that, the Tupperware party, right? I mean, that was, that was your earliest day, live, which then ultimately led to, well, we want to go one to many, and that becomes QVC and HSN. And now we want to go one to many, but being able to empower entrepreneurs who, don't have big TV budgets, to buy that time to get on there. I think you are this is where everybody needs to focus their attention. And I'm so happy that you're teaching this, and the academy is so important. And again, just get over, just do the one, do the one, get over it.
I love that you're saying that's so true.
Yeah,
just dive in.
I'm preaching to myself here too, also to do my lives as well. I'm not selling anything other than ideas and concepts and services around e-commerce, but sure, there's some apprehension always when you go live. Let the sweat come and just do it. So we just as we wrap up, I like to ask all of our guests, just with AI around us all the time, I'm just always curious to know, Is there something that you've used it for recently, assuming that you use it, in your everyday business life, that it made you stop, whether it was personal or business, it made you stop and say, wow, I had no idea this thing could do that. Anything you can point to?
Yes, my son just taught me something that I thought was amazing, and that was he just in passing said, "Yeah, well, whenever I go to Trader Joe's, I just in my phone as I'm walking in, I'll talk to Chat GPT and I'll say I need 5 days worth of meals on the healthy side. My budget is $75 for the week, and I need breakfast and dinner, no tofu." And this shopping list comes up with recipes that are amazing. The ingredients and the recipes, the shopping list in a minute, less than a minute, seconds.
Okay, I'm blown away. I literally use it I've never thought about using it for that particular situation.
I hadn't, you said that, I went, oh, I can do that?
Wow.
And so I did it, and it worked.
And I assume
a
lot of, my son is my oldest son is very into meal prepping. So everything is by, very systemized meal prepping to keep calories down, exercise and all of that good stuff. But that's a fantastic way.
You got to tell him that.
Yeah, I'm going to absolutely tell him.
You can say 500 calories per meal, and it does it.
Wow.
And it's good. It's well done. I thought it's going to be,
yeah,
awful recipes and the budget part, I love that it knows how 100%. Much everything costs. And
I'm saying, wow, I'm blown away by this. I'm absolutely going to be trying this week.
You got to do it.
So smart. Well, Marcy, this has been an absolute treat to have you on. I mean, it's so important to talk about this. And I would love to have you come back because I know the technology is going to evolve. I know things are going to evolve, and, your business is going to evolve. And I just think it's too important not to keep talking about it. Maybe if you could just take a moment and tell everybody where they can find you and learn about the Live Shopping Academy and how they can get in touch with you.
The easiest way is probably through my website, which is just my name, Marcy McKenna, Marcy with a Y, marcymckenna.com, because there you will find all about the Live Shopping Academy and the other side of my business, which is my own product line. And then I also work with e-commerce brands and product innovators to help them not only bring their product ideas to life, but then to have success with them in the e-commerce space once they get there.
Yeah,
so
this is
all
great.
Kinds of information on
Absolutely. We'll put all of that in the show notes, and I'd love to share that guide if it's available with, to get folks out there. Sure. Thinking through, how to do this and keep preaching, keep talking about this.
The other thing I'm adding to my website that I'm guessing will be there before this goes live is I put together a live shopping revenue calculator.
Oh, wow.
So if you're wondering what live shopping could mean to your bottom line, if you were to integrate it into your business model, you can use that calculator to quickly figure it out based on your particular business and product. It's
kind of like going shopping, right? At Trader Joe's. You have a budget and it's going to help you tell you exactly, but in reverse, your efforts are going to lead to this much potentially in revenue. What a great idea to put that together. I think that may be the thing that, gets anybody who's a little apprehensive over that's it, we're in. We're going to be able to do this kind of revenue, and it's going to affect our business in this way. And I want to see more people doing this. Amazon needs to be shouting a little bit more about this, and maybe you need to go talk to them and shout for them. Of course, they should compensate you for that shouting, most definitely. But I love it. Well, Marcy, thank you very much for, again, making time to come onto the E-commerce Revolution podcast and talk to our community and others out there who will be discovering this, podcast and live shopping for the very first time. And we're going to just try to get as many people doing it. And we'll put all the links in the show notes. But thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you on another episode soon.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a really fun conversation. So many great questions. So I loved it.
Absolutely. I love it too.
Happy to come back anytime.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, that brings us to the end of another episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast. Don't forget to check out past episodes, which are all available on demand on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Ready to join the revolution? Become an exclusive part of our growing community of emerging e-commerce entrepreneurs at ecomrevolution.co. Until next time, see ya.